welcome to LJ Institute of Engineering and Technology. Here myself, Mr. Jaiswal Kishan from Civil Engineering Department, and we are learning all about earthquake engineering. So let's start our today's session. So in today's session, we will be considering one more theory of earthquake basics module. So elastic rebound theory. Now, so what it said, rock are made up of elastic material. So they have a tendency to store up strain energy. So whenever the tectonic plates movement occur, the strain energy built up into the rocks are being stored. And whenever it reaches up to its capacity, means rocks reaches its maximum capacity to hold the strain energy, then sudden movement or say failure of the rock occur and the faults are formed. And then the energy which has been stored is been released. So earthquake occur. So let us understand with the basic simple theory of this timber stick. Here you are seeing the timber stick holding by a hand, and then we will try to apply a load. So it will try to bend, and then strain energy is being stored up into this particular timber. So right now it has been bent, and if we apply more load or if we try to bend more, then its particular capacity it will rupture or say it will fail, and all the strain energy which was built up over here has been released and failure occurs, and stress releases, means strain releases. So what it says, similar to the rock theory, in this on the left hand side you can see deformation of rock. So this is a fault line. What is fault line? Fault line is nothing but a plane where the weaker region of rocks are there, or say at that place the moment occur in the form of convergent, divergent, or in a type of slip. So here it is an original position. Now here built up of strain. You can see this is a kind of inclined plane over here. The energy is being stored up, and then suddenly whenever the energy reaches more than its capacity, a slippage occurs, and then what it says, an earthquake, and strain energy released, and then it's become its original position. So gradual accumulation and subsequent release of stress and strain is now referred as elastic rebound theory. Look, one more example I have got. Here you can see that there is a wall made up of rocks, just a representation. Now here the forces are being occurred in the opposite direction, and these forces will be up to there when the rocks reaches up to its maximum capacity. When rock attains its maximum capacity, and if more forces are applied, then a sudden failure occurs, and that is nothing but a deformation or say kind of a earthquake occurs, and then it attains its final position. So here a figure representation has been there. Look here, first I will explain that these are the layers of rocks in which this is my fault line, and this left portion is moving downward and right portion is moving upward. So what will happen, until the capacity of storing the energy, they will store up the energy, and this inclination occur or say oblique line has been occurred. First it was horizontal, and then it became oblique as the movement is in opposite direction. This is going in downward direction, this is going in upward direction. Up to its maximum capacity they will hold or say store up the energy. As soon they achieve its strength or say maximum holding capacity, and if the load is applied more, then sudden failure occurs. This is a termed as earthquake. So as shown in figure, continuously increasing shear force are acting on two blocks. Here are two blocks, left block and right block. These stresses are trying to move left block downward and right block upward. Because of the friction, there is no movement initially, but the blocks are distorted, so the lines originally straight, it was straight, it will be in oblique form. Fault becomes oblique as shown in figure B. So this is my figure B. When the strain become more than what the fault can support, the weakest part of the fault slip occur suddenly. This causes release in stored strain energy in the form of rebounding and violent vibration. So whenever the failure occurs, the strain energy release and vibration occurs. and this vibration is nothing but an earthquake. Maximum shaking of effect is felt on along the fault line. After earthquake is over, the process of strain built up at this modified interface between the rocks starts all over again. Now, after this failure, or say after this earthquake, again the same process will try to repeat, and then the earthquake will subsequently occur. So this is one study which has been done by H.F. Reid, professor of geology. This is a devastating earthquake of San Francisco of 1906. So the study has been done and seen that about more than straight line of around 270 miles, the slippage has been occurred. Means the earth on the one side of the fault was found to be slipped as compared to other side, which was about 21 feet. Means two part has been separated about 21 feet. And that professor has been concluded that this is an earthquake must be involved as an elastic rebound of previously stored elastic energy. Means he have concluded that the energy which has been earlier built up in that the particular rocks has been filled, and then this earthquake has been occurred. So this is a graphical representation. Look here, energy built up. Here it is in slip. So look, from A to B, energy is storing, means energy is being built up. And as soon as it reaches its capacity, all energy released and earthquake occurs. So this is in time in years, and this is an elastic stress, and this is cumulative slip. So if energy is more, then earthquake will be more. If more energy has been stored up to its capacity, then the earthquake will occur. So this is the representation. Stage A, stage B, this is an oblique form, and stage C is slip occurs. Similarly, as I shown in the very first slide, that this is a boundary, or say fence has been shown. This is a real representation over here. The fence was earlier in a straight line, and then two parts, or say two portions of the land were moving apart. Then it was oblique and suddenly clearer. So here you can see there's a failure of this particular fence, or say fencing of the boundaries of the fencing. So this was our elastic rebound theory. So elastic rebound theory may have three types of transformation: say divergent boundary, convergent boundary, and transform boundary, as we have discussed in previous session. So what is divergent boundary? In divergent boundary, two plates move away from each other, and also a new part, or say new land, or say constructive boundary has been also told, because a new surface has been come out. Because two surfaces are moving apart and the bottom one is coming out, so new surface has been formed. So it is also known as constructive boundary. So this is you can see GIF of divergent boundary. Second one is of convergent boundary. So here you can see one plate is merging to the another, and this is also known as destructive boundary, because one plate is being destructive, means it's being going inside the another plate. So it is also known as convergent boundary. And the third one is transform boundary, in which there is no destructive or no constructive, it just move side by side, or say slip side by side. So here you can see two plates are moving away from each other. It is known as transform boundary. So this all occur also on oceanic plates also, or say land plates also. So it can occur on both, or say both oceanic plates, or one land plate or another is oceanic plate. It may occur on both the plates. So now next is, what is fault? So fault is nothing but a fracture in the rock bodies, along with there has been relative displacement of the rock blocks, are termed as fault. Means sudden fracture, or say movement occur, that is nothing but a fault. So we will be learning about some terminologies of fault. There are various kind of fault. So let's see one by one. So what is fault plane? So here you can see this is one part and this is the second part has been moved in an inclined form. So this line is nothing but my fault plane. The surface along which fracture occurs. The surface along which the fracture occurs and the movement of the block take place is termed as fault plane or say fault surface. Its intersection with the surface is known as fault line or fault trace. So this is an intersection to the fault plane is known as fault line. So this was a fault plane. Second is dip and head. So what is dip? So here you can see this is a dip. Here it is also a dip has been shown. So the inclination of the fault plane means the inclination of that particular fault plane with the horizontal is called dip. It is measured both in degree of inclination and direction of inclination. It can be measured in both. Now head, it is a part of dip only. So look here the representation with the figure has been shown. So head is nothing but an angle with the vertical plane. So this alpha is nothing but my head. So head of the fault plane, it is an inclination with vertical. So how much it has been inclined? So this is my fault. Blue line is my fault. So how much it has been inclined with the vertical? It is nothing but a head. Next is strike. So here this line is nothing but my strike. So strike of a fault plane is the direction of its intersection with horizontal plane. So it is in direction with the horizontal plane. Now in that particular strike, there is true dip and another is apparent dip. So what is true dip? True dip, wherever the strike occurs, the perpendicular line has been drawn and the angle to it is nothing but a true dip. True dip is measured in direction perpendicular to the strike of the fault plane. It is called true dip, and if it is not perpendicular or it is in any other angle, it is known as apparent dip. Any other value is termed as apparent dip, and always this true dip is maximum than apparent dip. Now here also a figure has been shown. Look, this is a strike and this is the direction of dip, the perpendicular direction. Now what is hanging wall? So look here, this portion which has been moved upward, so it is a hanging wall, and the portion which is in downward here at the bottom, it is known as footwall block. So the top portion is known as hanging wall block and bottom portion is known as footwall block. Now this may be at the lower side also, means look, the block which lies on the upper surface of the fault plane, though it may be lying at the lower elevation also, means this portion is if upward and this is at a lower, then also this is a hanging wall block lying at the lower elevation than the other block is termed as hanging wall. Now look, footwall, as I said, here there is a footwall block, it is an opposite to it. The footwall block which lies the underside of the fault. So it lies the underside of the fault is known as footwall block, though it may be at a higher elevation. So it is at right now it is at upper elevation. So in the previous it has been shown it may be at a lower elevation. Here it is at a lower elevation. So it can be at a upper elevation also. So it can be on the either side. Slip. Now what is slip? The slip is defined as the relative displacement of any 2 points that were formerly contiguous to each other. Means slip is nothing but if the 2 plates are moving away, or say 2 part of the land is moving away, and that particular distance is nothing but a slip. So look, there are various type of slip. Strike slip, so which are moving side by side. Dip slip, so one is going downward and another block is going upward. So this is a dip slip, and another one is oblique slip, in which this is going on the this is sliding only but in an oblique manner. So it may be further distinguished on the basis of direction: dip slip, strike slip, and oblique slip. Throw and heave. So the horizontal distance, so this and this point is nothing but deep separation. So the horizontal distance is known as heave and the vertical distance is known as throw. The vertical component of the apparent displacement of 2 points. So this is my A point and this is my B point. So from A to B, the vertical distance is nothing but my throw and horizontal distance is nothing but my heave. The horizontal component apparent displacement of 2 points is which was formerly in contact, means earlier they were in contact. This point and this point earlier was at the same level, and then suddenly the dip occurs, so they are moved apart, and heave and throw can be find out like this. So we learned about fault terminology. So these are some real images of fault. Here you can see this layer and this layer you can determine of same color, or say this layer is been somewhere over here, you can see. So this slip has been occurred, or say fault has been occurred. In this you can see the two plates have been moved apart. In this two plates have been come towards each other, so this mountain lakes are formed. These are some more images of fault, as you can see.